Hey guys, SGT here, back in the saddle after a week of travel and a week of really being absorbed by work, and I'm thrilled to have back on the line the one, the only, Bob Chapman. Well, Bob, I wanted to actually start by reading you a little line from U2's song God Part 2, which goes like this. Don't believe them when they tell you there ain't no cure. The rich stay healthy, while the sick stay poor. Bob, Catherine Austin Fitts of GATA is saying they're now reporting in the CIA World Factbook that in terms of family income equality, the U.S. now ranks behind Nigeria, China, India, Tunisia, Egypt, Nicaragua, Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and Greece. What are we to make of this ultimate collapse that they call a recovery? What in the hell is going on?
Well, that is going on, and if you look at what's going on with the budget reductions over the next 20 years or whatever it is, you'll see that there's very little cut in military spending and lots of cuts for the elderly so that they can set up their panels and get rid of them as soon as possible.
Bob, the people won't stand up, even when this president, whose constitutionality can certainly be challenged based on the fact that Barack Obama, a.k.a. Barry Soetoro, refuses to and cannot produce his actual birth certificate, has superseded Congress and started a third war without speaking with Congress and without the approval of Congress. And the people, once again, stand down.
Well, it's attitudinal, and what I mean by that is that they do what they want to do. There is no constitution. They have purchased 95% of the people in Congress. They have purchased the legal system. They have federalized and controlled law enforcement. The FBI acts like the Gestapo. The CIA, 50% of the people are absolute criminals. And I know for a time I worked with some of them. And I work with people from NSA during that period as well, and so I know the mindset. It's like the song "Anything Goes," and that's the world that they live in, and they don't care about people. They want to control them. All of the things that you're seeing happening are not coincidence. They were planned that way. They've done this over and over again through the centuries to try to garner complete control over everyone and subject them. And that's what this is all about. Mm-hmm.
Well, we talk sometimes on this program, and some of the truth tellers in the community will talk about this Great Awakening. Maybe 2012 represents an opportunity for a Great Awakening for humanity, and I do think to some degree there's an awakening happening across the planet. However, in our own country, Bob, in the United States of America, I see a very sleepy people that are pacified by their mainstream media programming, and they're pacified by their American Idol and their Dancing with the Stars and their sports, and I don't see the American people standing up for anything.
Well, if they don't, they will live on their knees. It's pretty simple. Nothing esoteric about that. And that's why we're on here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And that's very important because we're waking people up, and then they have an opportunity for choice.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you don't stand up, you will live on your knees. You either can die on your feet or live on your knees. Let's talk a little bit about this debt restructuring and this debt ceiling, the big dog and pony show that's been going on. Has anything actually been solved, Bob, or is this just more nonsense? Because it seems to me that until they truly want to take back the reins of spending and the reins of power from the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex, there is no end to this spending in sight. This country is $14 trillion plus in debt, and that's just the stuff that they'll talk about.
Well, this is going to be an ongoing production until July or August, and you'll hear things about it here and there, and everybody will be jockeying for a political position. And when we get there, the cuts will probably be somewhat less than would have been projected. We'll find out a lot of the cuts were simply cuts in increases that they thought would have happened. As you said, and I said as well, there'll be very little cutting in the area of the military-industrial complex, and most of it will come from other programs, particularly Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And particularly Medicare. And that is going to be staggering, because older people like myself, I'm 75, they planned on being able to use that to be able to take care of themselves. Well, how can you take care of yourself when you have a panel that's going to tell you, Mr. Chapman, we feel that you probably have 2 years to live. You have cancer of the whatchamacallit, and we've decided that we can't spend $500,000 to keep you alive, so we're not going to treat you at all, and we're going to allow you to die.
Well, that's eugenics. I mean, essentially.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And what do you think that they're not saying anything about what's going on in Japan? Because they know that 1/3 of the population in northern Japan is going to be deceased very shortly.
But it's horrifying, Bob, because, I mean, if you want to talk about Agenda 21 and some of these other things, the Georgia Guidestones, people in our community know what that means. I think to the average American, they have absolutely no idea. Now, I'm not suggesting that what happened in Fukushima was done on purpose, but boy, Bob, this is going to pollute the world water and food supply. We're already seeing doses of radiation in dairy milk across the country.
Right. Well, you'll have to find a good source of water and use water instead of milk. Mm-hmm. And in many instances that will work. It's going to spread all over the world. There's some areas that won't be affected. They used to call them nuclear-free zones. And you go down into central Mexico, Chile, Portugal. These are areas that, because of the way the winds blow, they won't be as affected as other areas. And people don't talk about that anymore because they weren't afraid of a nuclear problem. But if you go back 20 years, people did talk about that. So they don't know anymore because they don't talk about it anymore. Mm-hmm. But the people behind the scenes, they've said innumerable times, look, there's 60 to 80% of the people in the world shouldn't be here. They're gobbling up all of the natural resources. Mm-hmm. And we want the earth to last, so we got to do away with them.
Yeah, they refer to many of us as useless eaters.
That's right. And I'm certainly a useless eater.
You're anything but useless, but you do like
I'm supposed to be dead. I mean, everybody I know is dead. The only people I know are people who are younger than me.
Well, Bob, if the last beacon of hope on this planet is the United States of America and the people of this country actually standing up for truth and justice, I don't see it happening. So what do you see unfolding? Do you see the New World Order actually getting their one world government? Because if they bring down the currency of the United States of America, which I think is in the cards, it might be baked in the cake at this point when this government defaults on the debt, where does that leave us if the people will not stand up?
Well, I think it's either one way or the other. They'll either do exactly what government tells them, or there'll be a segment of the population that says, no, we're not going to do that. And there'll be a revolution. So that's a possibility as well.
This concludes Part 1. Click here for Part 2.